Quan Cong and the Quan clan. Quan Cong, also known as Quan Zong, and with the courtesy name Zi Huang, is appraised as a respectful and agreeable person who was good at reading people's emotions and reacting positively to others' advice. He was mindful of his speech and words and was never known to have been disrespectful towards anyone before. After he became Sun Quan's son-in-law and one of the Wu Emperor's most trusted generals, his family members and relatives also benefited, as Sun Quan favoured them, appointed them to high positions, and often bestowed them with wealth and riches. Despite his fame and prestige, Quan Cong remained humble when he interacted with people and never shown any signs of arrogance. As a soldier, he was known for being courageous and decisive, and always prepared to sacrifice his life when he encountered critical situations in battle. After he became a commander, he conducted himself with dignity and showed good awareness of his responsibilities. When it came to making his plans in battle, he often took the bigger picture into consideration and tended to avoid actions that would only yield petty gains. Chen Shou, who wrote his biography, praises Quan Cong and other notable Wu generals such as Lu Dai, Shou Fang, and Zhong Limu for their successes in helping pacify the Shan tribes. He commented on him as follows: Quan Cong was a talented individual of his time. He was one of the most favoured, and one of those who held the most prestigious positions among Sun Quan's subjects. However, his failure to rein in his villainous sons cost him his good reputation. Kong's father, Quan Ru, served as the administrator of Guiyang Commandery under Sun Quan. Ru was nominated as a Xiao Lian during the reign of Emperor Ling, and once served at Luoyang as a secretarial assistant. He left the capital because of Dong Zhuo's rise to power, then went on to be recruited by the governor of Yang to serve as an assistant within the provincial offices. He would go on to be promoted to a commandant of the eastern part of Guangxi Commandery. When Sun Ce conquered the territories in Jiangdong, Quan Ru was one of the first few local leaders to rally his men in support of the little conqueror. In return, Ce nominated Ru to the Han court, whereafter he received the nominal appointment of the general of chariots and cavalry. Later, Sun Quan appointed him as his chief clerk before making him an administrator. In 229, after Sun Quan had declared himself emperor, Quan Cong married Sun Luban, the eldest daughter of Sun Quan and his concubine Bu Lianxi. They had two sons, Quan Yi and Quan Wu. Before their marriage, Quan Cong already had two sons, Quan Zu and Quan Ji. Quan Zu was the eldest. He was already famous since adolescence. He was commissioned as a military officer by the Wu government upon reaching adulthood and gradually rose through the ranks to the position of general who spreads martial might. His garrison was at Niuzhu. Under Sun Liang, he was promoted again and served in the Battle of Dongxing in 253. Quan Zu and Ding Feng led a head-on assault against the Wei positions and scored a tactical victory over the enemy. Quan Zu had two sons, Quan Yi and Quan Yi, and he died at the age of 43 in an unknown year. Quan Cong's second son, Quan Ji, did not work well with Gu Tan, the grandson of Gu Yong, the Wu chancellor. Gu Tan believed Quan Ji to act immorally as he was involved in the succession struggle between Sun Quan's sons, Sun He and Sun Ba in the 240s. Once the power struggle was over in 250, Quan Ji was in support of Sun Ba, who was forced to commit suicide. Quan Yi was the eldest son of Sun Luban. He inherited Quan Cong's marquisate and took over his military units that were once under his father's command. He was ordered to assist Zhuge Dan during his rebellion at Shuchun around 258. Sima Zhao ultimately suppressed the rebellion, where Quan Yi fell for a ruse of the Wei regent. He was recruited by Wei and then appointed as a general who pacifies the east and enfeoffed as a marquis. Quan Wu, the youngest of the four and second son of Sun Luban, became enfeoffed as a marquis of a chief district. When Quan Yi went to assist Zhuge Dan, other members of the Quan clan were also ordered by Sun Chen to go and assist him. Quan Jiang was sent along with Quan Duan, Quan Pian, and Quan Ji, who were the sons of Chong's cousins. Three of Quan Cong's grandsons remained at the Wu capital, Quan Hui, plus Quan Zu's sons, Quan Yi and Quan Yi. After internal conflict broke out within the Quan clan, these three later brought their mother to Wei and defected over to them. Hui and Yi were instructed by Zhong Hui to write a letter to their uncle Chuan-yi, who was inside Shu-chun with Zhuge-dan. They penned a lie within the letter that claimed that the Wu regent Sun Chen was unhappy with Yi's performance in battle and wanted to execute the entire clan. Chuan-yi believed his nephews and persuaded Chuan-jing, Duan, Pian, and Ji into joining him and to also surrendering to Wei. Sima Zhao, who became very pleased with the outcome of their defection, appointed them all as commandery-level military officers and awarded them each of the Marquis title. Another of Quan Cong's relatives, called Chuan Shang, had a daughter, Lady Chuan Huiji. She married Sun Liang, the second emperor of Wu, in the year 253. Shang was made a Marquis and held a high position as a result of this marriage. In 258, with Sun Liang's support, Chuan Shang, his son Songzhi, and the military general Liu Cheng attempted a coup against the Wu regent Sun Chen. As Shuang had revealed the plot to his wife, Sun Chen caught wind of this and had him exiled to Ling. Whilst they were en route, Sun Chen sent assassins to kill Chuan Shang and his wife. He then later deposed of Sun Liang too and replaced him with Sun Ziyu. Sun Liang and Chuan Huiji were also forced to relocate to Huguan County. Quan Cong was born in Wu Commandery. At this time, his father was the administrator of Guiyang, and so Cong received instructions to sell a shipment of grain at Wu. Instead of selling it, he gave it away completely for free and returned to his father empty-handed. When his father angrily demanded for an explanation, he kowtowed and said that selling the grain wasn't the most important issue. Many county officials were facing a desperate crisis and their people didn't have enough food, so I decided to use the grain to help those needy people. As it was very urgent, I didn't have enough time to inform you and to seek your permission. Chuan Rui was very impressed with this answer and with his son's charitable actions. During this time period, Quan Cong took on hundreds of refugees that fled south to escape the war-ravaged central China. He spent his entire family's fortune on providing them with necessities and became famous for his kind deeds. He was later given command of a few thousand troops when he was commissioned by Sun Quan as the colonel of vehement might. He was then sent to attack the currently restive Shanyue tribes who had already rebelled from time to time. He was able to recruit over 10,000 elite soldiers to serve in his army and then stationed them at Niuzhu. He was later promoted to lieutenant general for this achievement. When Guan Yu invaded Fancheng in 219, Quan Cong wrote to Sun Quan insisting that he takes advantage of the situation by invading Jing, but he received no reply. Sun Quan had already secretly ordered Lu Meng on a stealth mission, and so did not reply in case the information leaked out. Later, at a feast to honour Lu Meng's victory, Sun Quan told Cong, "Although I did not respond to the letter you sent me earlier, I still want to credit you for today's victory." He then enfiefed Cong as a village marquis. In response to Chuan refusing to send his son as a hostage to Tao Pi, the latter invaded Wu in a three-pronged attack. Dongku was invaded in the year 222 by Tao Ziyu, the aged and sickly Zhang Liao, and Zhang Ba. Sun Quan sent naval forces led by Lu Fan to resist them. Within the Wu order of battle was He Shi, Xu Cheng, Sun Shao, Quan Cong, and Sun Quan's half-brother Sun Lang. The battle was going in Wei's favour, but the news of Wu's victories in other areas kept their spirits raised. Sun Lang served as a guardsman under Lu Fan's authority, but early on into the fighting he accidentally set fire to his own camp, which resulted in the loss of a large quantity of supplies. Quan Cong led armoured troops to patrol the riverbanks round the clock and repelled frequent raids by small groups of Wei Marines. During one of these raids, he drove back a few thousand troops that crossed the riverbank led by Yin Lu, which led to the death of the Wei general in battle. A freak storm then hit Lu Fan's fleet, which sent it crashing towards the northern shore. The troops that survived this were in danger of coming under attack or starving to death, but they were able to regroup when reinforcements led by Zhu Cheng and Sun Shao drove Tao Ziyu's fleet back. After the battle, Sun Lang was stripped of all military titles, banished from the Sun clan, and had to change his name to Ding Lang. He was then expelled by Sun Quan, where he spent the rest of his life under house arrest. Quan Cong, on the other hand, was promoted to the general who pacifies the south and made a marquis over a county. In 225, he was granted imperial authority by Sun Quan and made the administrator of Jiang Commandery. In 228, Sun Quan personally went to Wan, where he ordered Quan Cong to join Lu Xun in attacking Wei forces led by Tao Ziyu at the Battle of Shi Ting, literally meaning Stone Pavilion. Sun Quan had ordered Zhou Fang to lay a trap for Tao Ziyu. Tao was deceived into leading his troops straight into Wan territory, where he was defeated in an ambush led by Lu Xun. Tao Ziyu ordered a retreat to Shiting, but in the night on the way back, many Wei troops had already deserted. After miscalculating how many supplies he had, Tao Ziyu led his men against Lu Xun's army and was defeated again. Quan Cong controlled the right flank, while Su Huan controlled the left. Lu Xun led forces from the centre, and then they decisively took on Tao Ziyu's army. This self-proclaimed shaming defeat of Tao Ziyu's eventually led to his death. He barely escaped with his life and died some months later from skin infections on his back from the wounds he had sustained. Around this time, in the areas of Danyang, Wu and Kuaji, many local tribes frequently rebelled against Wu governance. To counteract this, Sun Quan created a new commandery, Dong'an, in one of the quieter areas of the region and appointed Quan Cong as its new administrator. When he arrived to his new headquarters in Fuchun County, Cong applied careful measures to re-establish law and order. He ensured that all rewards and punishments were handed out fairly. Throughout the many years that he held office here, he managed to persuade and induce over 10,000 of the local tribes to surrender over to him and submit to Wu. Once the tribes had been brought back into the fold, Sun Quan dissolved the Dong'an commandery and reappointed Quan Cong to his old position at Niuzhu. Cong paid a visit to his hometown on the way back, where he paid respects to his ancestors' tombs. He had to stay a while to carry out repairs to their graves and to have them cleaned up. When he travelled around during this time, he was accompanied by a ceremonial parade. Before he left, he hosted a party for all of his friends, family and townsfolk, where he gifted them generously with presents. He was the pride of his hometown. In the coming years, Sun Quan became Emperor of Wu, and in the year 229, Quan Cong became married to Sun Luban. At this point in time, Quan Cong held the titles of General of the Guards, Left Protector of the Army, and the nominal governor of Zhu province. On one occasion, Sun Quan ordered his eldest son and the crown prince of Wu, Sun Deng, into battle. None of the Wu officials dared to speak up to Sun Quan. Cong, however, secretly wrote to his lord and simply explained, "Since ancient times there has never been an instance of a crown prince independently leading troops into battle. A crown prince either plays a supporting role if he accompanies the ruler into battle, or serves as a regent if he guards the state during the ruler's absence. I am deeply concerned and worried because now the crown prince is not acting in accordance with established customs." Upon reading this, Sun Quan heeded his advice and then ordered his son to turn back immediately. When news that Quan Cong was the one that wrote the letter eventually spread, he earned much praise within Wu for possessing the dignity of a respectable subject. In the year 233, he led 50,000 infantry and cavalry to attack Wei's Luan county. The people were so terrified of the incoming Wu force that they fled in fear in all directions. When it was suggested to Quan Cong that men should be dispatched to go capture the fleeing civilians, Quan refused. "It doesn't reflect well on our state if we exploit the people's plight for such small gains. If we send our troops to capture civilians, our potential gains and losses will balance each other out. Is this a well-conceived move then? Even if we manage to capture some civilians, we will neither deal significant damage to the enemy, nor fulfill our hopes of our state. If our troops encounter enemy forces on the way, they will sustain heavy casualties. I'd rather be held responsible for making no gains in this battle than to be blamed for making an ill-calculated and risky move. I won't seek any personal glory at the expense of letting down my state." 13 years later, in 246, Quan Cong was concurrently appointed as Right Grand Marshal and Left Military Advisor. Sun Quan later wanted to invade Juya and Yizhu. When he asked for Kong's advice, he did not agree to it. "Given the imperial might of our state, there is no territory that we can't conquer. However, these are distant and remote lands, separated from the mainland by the sea. The local climate and geography may have been quite dangerous for mainlanders since ancient times. When soldiers and civilians live together, they're more likely to fall sick and contagious diseases will spread more easily. When that happens, our soldiers will never be able to come back home. What gains would we have made then? I feel very unsettled by the thought of sending our troops, who are supposed to be guarding our borders, on such a risky mission with only a very small chance of success." Sun Quan did not heed Quan Cong's advice and proceeded with sending armies to invade Juya and Yizhu. After 80 to 90% of his troops died from illness and disease within the first year of the campaign, Sun Quan started to deeply regret his decision. When he spoke to Quan Cong again, the latter told him, "I think that those who didn't attempt to dissuade your majesty from launching this campaign aren't loyal towards your majesty." Due to an incident following the Battle of Chue Bay in 241, Quan Cong, his eldest son Zhu, and relative Quan Duan bore a grudge against Gu Cheng and Zhang Jiu, and by extension Gu Tan, who was Gu Cheng's brother. The Battle of Chue Bay did not go well for the Wu forces, who were under the command of Quan Cong. In the initial stages they lost 5 of their units, until Gu Cheng and Zhang Jiu managed to halt the enemy advance. Quan Zhu and Quan Duan then piled in with the other Wu troops and helped drive the enemy back altogether. Once the fighting was over and rewards were being handed out, Gu Cheng and Zhang Ziu were promoted higher than the Chuans. Sun Quan deemed halting the enemy advance more difficult than driving the enemy back once they had stopped. In the same year, Sun Quan had appointed his third son Sun He as the new crown prince, after his eldest son Sun Deng passed away. The fourth son, Sun Ba, was also treated exceptionally well by Sun Quan, which confused the brothers and led to a power struggle for the Wu throne. 2 opposing factions emerged within the Wu court. Sun He was supported by Lu Xun, Zhu Geike, Gu Tan, Xu Ju, Teng Yin, Shi Ji, Ding Mi, and Wu Kan, who all believed him to be the rightful heir. Sun Ba received aid from Bu Ji, Lu Dai, Quan Cong and his second son Quan Ji, Lu Ju, Sun Hong, Yang Zhu, Wu An, and Sun Qi. During the secession struggle, the Chuans found an opportunity to get back at Zhu Cheng and Zhang Jiu. They accused them of secretly collaborating with a staff officer to falsify about their contributions during the Battle of Chue Bay. This resulted in the pair being thrown into prison, with Gu Cheng's brother Gu Tan also being implicated in the crime. He was noted as a key supporter of Sun He. Sun Quan was reluctant to have them thrown into prison, and so asked them to apologize instead, in hopes that this would appease the Chuans. When Gu Tan refused to publicly apologize, other officials called for his execution on grounds of being disrespectful towards the emperor. Sun Quan refused this as well, and instead had them exiled to the remote Jiao province. When Sun Quan grew tired of the power struggle, he ended it by deposing of Sun He as the crown prince and replacing him with Sun Liang, then forcing Sun Ba to commit suicide. Many of Quan Cong's relatives were punished for their involvement, namely his second son Quan Ji. They were either executed, forced to commit suicide, demoted, removed from office, or exiled to a distant commandery. By the time the struggle came to an end in 250, Quan Cong had already passed away 3 years earlier, in 247, at the age of 51. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.